Hello designers and welcome back to another Affinity Designer tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the Shape Builder tool in version 2. We'll start from the basics and work all the way up to advanced. I'll be using lots of examples where you can follow along with me. Some of the designs that you'll see include a banana, the planet Saturn, interlinking hearts, a tub of ice cream, a crossword puzzle, grids, and more. Did you also know that you can use the Shape Builder tool instead of the knife tool? Let's get straight into it. The shortcut for the Shape Builder tool is S. Okay, we're at the start of the tutorial and I will just mention that any shortcuts I press will pop up in the bottom left hand corner of the screen down here. I'm using a Mac, so it will be referring to that system. So the Shape Builder tool, in order to use it, we must first make our selections. So I have 3 shapes here. I'm going to select 2 of them to begin with. I'm going to click on the triangle, hold down Shift and click on the circle. We have 2 of them selected now. Press the Tab key just to bring my UI back so you can see everything. Okay, from this point we can click on the Shape Builder tool, which is down here. There it is. Shortcut is S. So I've clicked on that. Notice that up in the context toolbar you have all of these options. They're all relating to the Shape Builder tool. This is how it looks as standard. We're not going to be playing around with that yet, but we will be going through all of this throughout the tutorial. So to begin with, let's just make a selection. So notice when I'm hovering over our 2 shapes that it's kind of highlighting kind of a candidate for building a shape. That's what we're here to do. We're building a shape from multiple shapes. So I'm going to make my first selection just by clicking once. You can see these blue stripes. That means that that is part of our new shape that we're going to build. If you wanted to add to that, you just select the next one and the next one again. And let's say you like this shape. At this point, then you would go up and you choose one of these actions and one of these options. But right now we're just concentrating on making the selection. Okay, so how do you deselect if you didn't want this part of the circle being in there? Well, you just click once more and you just click again and again there. There's multiple ways of doing this and I'll go through it. So the next option is the drag method. Freehand is selected automatically, so I can just click and drag and you can see that kind of line there as I'm going around. Okay, how do I deselect? I don't want to have to tap all the time. Okay, I'll just press Shift, click, and I'll do the reverse of what I was doing before. Okay, so the next one is line, and that is basically me clicking and you see the straight line, it's not freehand. And I can skip over to that one, or I can go down here. So that's all of them selected. Another way to deselect everything is just to press the escape key. There's a shortcut, you see. Anyway, the next one is marquee. And that's the one that everybody kind of knows about, the old one that we've all been using from our very first computer. So click and drag and it's that old box. And as you go over the different shapes, it will select them. Okay, so these are our selections, but you might be wondering, why is there another shape down here that he hasn't selected? That's because I've written a little shortcut here for you. So Shift, Command, and click to add layer to selection. So I've got those selected, but I want to make another one. So Shift, Command, and see it's kind of changed into the Move tool. Now I'm going to select this shape here. Okay, so now they're all kind of being considered for candidates. So now I'll just go back to freehand and I'll select all of them. Remember, you don't have to select all of them. You can miss some out and make whatever shape you want, but there we go. Okay, so that is making your selection. Let's move on. Now I'm going to show you how to use the action button in 2 different ways. So whether it's with nothing selected or the action of when something is selected first. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So we've got our shapes here. I'm going to select this. This time I'm pressing S, the shortcut for the Shape Builder tool. And then up there, you can see nothing is selected on the action. I'll just show you there, nothing is selected. Okay, so as before, we would drag out and make our selection. Now you'd go up and you would click on plus, and that would create your new shape. The other way of doing it is this. I select my shape again, press S, and this time I can press on plus before I make my selection. And now after I've finished making my selection, it will automatically make that shape. So click, drag, and when I let go, it will just happen. There we go. So that's 2 ways of using the action button. Now that we've got that information under our belt, we can start shape building. So I'm going to start off with using the plus icon, and we've got the same shapes as we have before, but I want to show you what it does, like the reason why it does it, and also shed some light on a couple of stumbling blocks I came across. Some things were happening that I didn't understand why until I started looking into it, and hopefully that should help you out a little bit as well. So let's start off with this shape here. I'm going to make my selection just like we did before. Click on S, Shape Builder tool, make my selection like that. And up here is the plus button. Now I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what it says. Create a new shape from selected areas and remove used areas from original objects. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So I've clicked on it and it's made two shapes, one shape, just like it did before. It had no fill, no color inside, but it does have a stroke on the outside. Okay, let's move over to this one. It's the same one, same kind of shape, but it has a fill, two different colors. So again, I'm going to press S and I'm going to make my selection. So I start from here and go up here. Remember, there's two different colors there. So what's going to happen? Click on plus. So it's taken one of the colors and gotten rid of one of the other ones. How did it decide that? So I'm going to press Command Z to go back to show you why. So up here, it says use style from first selected area. That is ticked right now. That's the reason it did it. So let's say if I start from this side, I will click. So that's my first selected area, and I will go across like that, and then I'll press the plus button. There we go. Now it's taking on that color. So that's why that's happening. So what happens if we untick that? What color is it going to be if we do that? So I'm going to click and drag across, and then I'm going to press plus. And look, it's got no fill inside and it's got a black stroke around it. Why is that happening? Well, if I just click on the move tool and I'll click away just on the desktop somewhere, you'll see that my default color settings are up here. So I have a black stroke outline and no fill. That's like my defaults there. So that's why it's doing that. Unless I have that thing selected, let me just press back so we can go back to how everything was. So unless I have this selected up here, it will just revert to your defaults. Okay, so I'll just click on that again. So a way to change your defaults, because as you design, you start changing the color of things, and maybe it will just take on that color. It's up here. If I go on there, it says revert to defaults, and the other one is synchronize defaults from selection. Let's say I had this selected and I clicked on synchronize from selection, it would take on that green color fill and then the black outline. Okay, that's why that's happening. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Okay, so now let's look at the minus button. What is that going to do? So let's select the original ones, press S, make our selection. I'm just going to select two of them this time, and then I'll go up and we'll have a look what that says. Delete selected areas from objects. I'm just going to press the minus key. Subtract. There we go. As you could tell, it's subtracting from it and kind of made a Pac-Man in the process. Let's try that with this one here. So select S. So maybe let's just same again. Click on it. There we go. It's done what we thought it was going to do. Also, you can just click as well. So I could just click once on that one. And oops, I just pressed plus. Click on it and it will just kind of get rid of it. And now you almost have a kind of pie chart going on there. That's the basics of the subtract tool. Now let's look at the other one. Again, select S. Okay, create a new shape from selected areas. Okay, let's do that. So these are selected. Let's select all of that. And now I'll press this button. Boom. What has happened? Well, you can't really tell right now on this shape, but go on the move tool and drag it away. Oh, look, there it is. It's created our key shape, but it's left these ones over. Okay, so let's try that with this colored one as well. S, and again, remember what we were doing before, use style from first selected area. So if I go from this one and then I press on that, boom, now we have one shape, and I'll just prove that by clicking and dragging it away. And this is our original down here. So this can be cool if you're building your shapes up and you're thinking, oh, that's quite cool, I'll save that. So I can put that off to the side. I can still continue to add more and then create one from there, etc., etc. Very handy indeed. Okay, so I actually have another little tip for you here to quicken things up a little bit. So with that selected, I'll just press on S. Let's say if I select this portion here, if I press the backspace key, that will just delete it. I'll press Command Z to go back. If I select this one, press delete, and get rid of that. You get the idea. It's much quicker to do it that way, right? The other option is to add it together. So I can add them together like that and press the return key. Look at the shortcut down there. Very quick and easy to do all of that. Also, when they're all selected, there's another one as well. As you're hovering around, as I press Option, you can see the minus button there. So if I click on that, it will just automatically get rid of it. So I could just hover around whatever I want and get rid of everything if I want. There we go, it's all finished. So I wanted to show you this extra option here. So instead of like dragging around, you can actually just tap to get rid of things. So I've got them all selected. I'll press S, and let's say I've already pre-selected the minus button. You can just click away. So click on that. I've punched a hole through that shape. Click again, punched it through. Click once more. So look, you can see behind it now. So I'm just punching holes through things super quick. So remember this button, this option we chose before, use style from first selected area. It could copy it across like we did before. It can copy across the color and the stroke from one object to another. But I wanted to show you that it actually can copy over layer effects as well. So one of these layers has layer effects added to it. And I'll just make my selection and I'll press plus. And you can see it's copied over that effect as well. And you can add more than just one effect on there. So if I just open up my effects panel, you can see 3D was on. I could turn it off and on. You can add all the other ones as well, like the outer shadow to it, make adjustments to it, etc. So very handy to have that as well. So in this section, I want to show you a little bit more about the add options using that plus button. So in the middle here, you'll see all the shapes. The round orange circles are where I would tap when I'm using this shape builder tool, and I'm tapping, and on this one I'm dragging and dragging. Underneath, you'll see the results of what happens when you do those actions. And you can see it's very varied with just one touch of a button using the add option. So it's not always doing just one thing. So let's go ahead and start with this one here. I'm going to select them all, press S, and I'm going to click the plus button first. So this one, I'm just going to tap once. Right now, you can't see that anything has happened, but it has. So I'll press V, the move tool, and I'll just start pulling away this shape so you can see what's happening. So that is what that has done just from tapping in that location there. Let's move to the next one and I'll tap in that location. Okay, so I'm just going to click once in the middle here. You can't see anything's happened. Again, I'm going to drag it out so you can see what's happened. So it's split it up. All of these things that I'm doing, a lot of them you can do with the Boolean operations that are up here. There's the add, the subtract, the intersect, the XOR, I don't know how you pronounce that, and also divide. There's many options there. They're kind of recreating those, but it's just a nicer way to do it. Next one, we're going to tap on the light green circle there. So click once, pull it apart. That hiding underneath of the green circle. You see how that's different to the way it cut this one here. Moving on to this one. This time I'm dragging across. And we know what this does. It just creates one shape. Moving on to the last one. Now I'm going to drag just like this over and across, avoiding that middle one. Let go. Okay, let's pull it apart and see what happened. Okay, so it's created a shape like this. So you see how it's different. Where you click, where you drag can create so many different options. So get used to this tool and it will really help you. So now we're on to some actual use cases where I'd use the shape builder tool. So I've got a banana. I've got some shading here that I want to add to the banana. So I'm just going to kind of offer that up so it looks like it's in the right position. I've made it a little bit transparent so you can see where I'm placing it and so that I can see where I'm placing it. I'm going to chuck that around about there. Okay, so from this point, I would just select it all, press S, and then minus is already selected for me. You see, as I hover over red stripes, that means I'm going to be deleting it. So click on that. I don't want that. Click on this one. I don't want that either. And if it looks a bit wrong, we just click on that portion that I just added. Bring down the opacity a bit so it looks a bit more natural. And there you go. Now, I know I was just chucking on shapes onto this banana. In reality, I would probably use the pencil tool, so I'll quickly go over that. So pencil tool is over there. I'd just click on N, the shortcut for it, and I'd just add something onto here. So I'll just quickly drag around there for the edge of the banana. So that's one little bit added. And maybe I'd add a little bit more shading underneath here. Just drag that out. Oops, I've kind of messed that up. Drag that out over here. And there we go. I'm going to select both of these and just make them a little bit darker like that. Now I'll drag over all of it again, press S, get rid of the sides there, press V, the move tool, bring that down a little bit more and bring that up a little bit more and a bit darker. So you see the changes I've made very quickly using this tool. And in this example, we're going to recreate the planet Saturn over here on the right using only 3 ellipses. Here they are, 1, 2, 3. These ones don't have a fill, but the ones down there do. So we're going to recreate it on that first. So let's have a look at it. We have a gradient that goes all the way down. It's all one shape there. We have a ring and then a little shadow, couple of holes each side. There is my shape. Select all of it, click on the Shape Builder tool, and let's start selecting our areas. That's my first area. I'm going to press plus. Remember, you can press return. And this is my second area I want. I'm going to press plus again. Okay, there's those couple of holes there that we need. So I'll click on that one and press minus. Remember, you can press backspace or delete. Okay, so that's done. It looks like it's all done, but remember, it's been cut up into pieces. So we have this part of the planet here and the bottom part as well as separate. So we want to add them together. So what I'm going to do is click on this one, and now I'm going to activate the Shape Builder tool, letter S shortcut, and from there I'll just press add, select them, and it's done. That is one piece now, as you can see. Now let's get rid of the stroke on it because I don't want that to be there, and I'll make this bit slightly lighter. So up on my color tab, fill, I'll just make it a little bit lighter there. And on this one, this had a gradient, didn't it? So gradient tool is over there on the left hand side. Well, sorry, fill tool. So I'm going to press G, that's the shortcut. I'm going to click and drag out. I want a more elliptical look to it. So I'm going to go up to type, elliptical, and I want the center bit to be the lightest part. It seems like it's the wrong way around here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up and I'm going to click on reverse gradient. There we go. So the lightest part is up there. I think I'll make it a little bit lighter than that even. And maybe a little bit darker down here. So I'll click on that part and go a little bit darker like that. Okay, excellent. That's that part of the planet done. It's looking fairly similar. Maybe the fill tool can change a little bit over here. Okay, and I also want to add a shadow to it. So I'm going to grab the pen tool. I'm going to click on the first node here just to kind of get it lined up. And I think it was around here. So I'll just click and drag out a little bit and maybe we'll end it there. There we go. And I'll just complete that shape and connect it together. Okay, right now you can't see what's behind it. So what I'll do is I'll just make it more transparent so we can see. From this point forward, I press V, the move tool. I've got that selected. I'll select the ring too, so shift and click. Both of them are selected. Now I'll enable the Shape Builder tool, so S, and I will just choose this section here. Don't want that anymore. I'll press delete and it's gone. So let's have a look what it's like. So that has to be a lot darker. So I'll bring that, make it a lot darker, bring up the opacity actually again fully, and something like that. And we're pretty much done here. Let me just drag all of this over so we can see what it looks like compared to our other planet. We'll put it in space. So yeah, I messed up a little bit on that, but I can change that. So I'll just press A, the node tool, and just play around with the node there, make it a little bit sharp, maybe a little bit darker as well. And there we go, we have our planet. 3 ellipses and it's done. We have finished the fill one. So let's go over here and look at the line one. This behaves slightly differently. This will be covered more in the following sections of the tutorial. Okay, so again, select all of it. Press S. Well, we'll just start selecting, shall we? So we'll grab that section there, press plus. It's obviously taken on my last color scheme here. And actually, in that case, I will just revert to my default. So I want my fill and my stroke to be the same as this. So I'll select this one. I'll head up here and I'll press synchronize defaults from selection. If you can see that there. So I'll click on that. Okay, now I'll select all of it. Press S and select all of them like that. I'll press plus. Okay, so that's one section done. Press plus on that. That's another section done. And remember, we had to punch out those holes, and I'll show you why, because this is just an outline. So let me just select part of it and pull it apart. You can see what's left over there after us cutting it. It's a bit messy, isn't it? So I'll just put them together again. Select everything, press S. I'll select those two portions there and click on subtract. And again, remember we had to put the planet together because they're in different parts, the top and the bottom. So I'll select the top one and the bottom one. So here's where things start getting a little bit crazy. Before, we just pressed the plus button. It's not going to work so well this time. So here we go. Press S, both of them, select them, and I'll press plus there. So let's have a look what that has done. So I'll click on it and pull it away. You see it's left one underneath. It's kind of duplicated it. And this is where the other options come into play. So I'll just go back until they're two halves again. Okay, there they are. So now what we're going to do, I'll just go down and grab it for you so you can remember what it is. So clean up unused curves. This is what will work to sort this out. So I'm going to select both of these, press S, select both of them. From this point, I'm going to click on Clean Up Unused Areas. And now I will press the plus button. Now let's have a look, see if it's worked. It has. From this point forward, you can continue to add your gradients, etc. Moving on to the next section. Okay, everyone, it's a little break time here. I filmed this cat shimmying across a branch of a tree the other day. It was really funny. I was actually really impressed, and apparently this cat is a Mau Mau, and it's quite rare. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Let's get back to it. The Shape Builder tool has those extra options that we haven't covered yet. So I'm going to go through one by one and show you what they do. So here's one, clean up unused curves. When you hover over it in the context toolbar, it usually tells you a little bit more about it. So automatically clean up unused curves from unfilled objects. If you're not used to the terminology of Affinity Designer and sort of vector software, I've just added this brief explanation of some of the things that they talk about, like open curve. That would be an open curve because it's not connected, whereas some of these shapes here, they are connected. Some of them are filled and some of them are unfilled, and there's the area, etc. That's there just to help you out a little bit more. Let's get started with the first one. So I have this jug here, and I'm going to add these shapes together. So I'll just show you the different parts. There's two filled objects there, and there's one unfilled object here, and I'm going to add them all together. Okay, so like always, we select all of them. We press S to enter the Shape Builder tool, and then let me uncheck all of these. I'll just leave clean up unused curves on. Okay, so now click and drag around and add those together. When I press the plus icon, you'll see what it does. So automatically clean up unused curves from unfilled objects. So remember the middle wasn't filled. There it is over there. Wasn't filled, so that's what it's done. Let's move over and try clean up unused area on its own instead. So I'll select all of it, press S, and I'll just go up here and uncheck that, and now we'll check on clean up unused areas. And we'll do the same again. Select the areas we want to add. So this will be our new shape. Let's see what happens now. So I'm going to press the plus icon here. Okay, so that's what it's done. And let me just pull it apart so you can see. So it has cut it out, but it's left this curve behind. And with this one, if I click on it, it's also left this behind, but the top part is gone. So remember, it's unfilled in there. Let's move over to the next one here where we use both of them together. Select all, press S. I will click on both of them now. Clean up unused curves, clean up unused areas. And okay, I'll select all of it like we did before, and I'll press plus. So you see what it's done? It's gotten rid of the curve and the area as well. So the area being this part here and the curve being the kind of outline here. Gotten rid of both of them, and that is our new shape. So that's what those do. The next one is delete internal curves. So I've got a badly drawn toothbrush here. Delete internal curves. It's automatically delete open curves inside selected areas. So remember what I said before? This is an open curve because it's not. Let me just finish it off. So that's open. And if I go all the way around and close it, that would be a closed curve. Okay, so let's go up and we'll select all of it, press S, and now we will uncheck all of those and we'll just check delete internal curves. And now I'll just select this kind of area here. You can see I've selected it and they're the ends of these open curves. Now when I press plus, See, it's deleted the internal open curves, but it's left those there. So if I press on the move tool here, you can see they're just shorter now. Okay, so that's what that does. Let's move on to the next section. In this example, I want to show you how to create linked shapes. You might have seen in other tutorials, they use two hoops and they kind of connect them together. I've just done a different variation of this, but I want to show you how to create it as well. So I've got my heart shape here and it's just a stroke over it. You can see 2 pixels there. So how I did this is I pressed Command C, Command V. That's to make a duplicate of it. Now I go over to the contour tool, click on that. On the radius, I'll just press 10 pixels. So it's come out like that, and I will just click on the miter joins. I'll just click on the sharp corner there, and I'll press Bake Appearance. So we got our new shape. Okay, now I'll duplicate that again and do everything I just did. So Command C, Command V, I've got a duplicate, go over to the contour tool, head up here, 10, press return, and you see down here at the bottom it's slightly rounded here. That is why I'm pressing sharp miter joins there. So when I do that, now it's sharp, you see. Okay, and then I'll just press Bake Appearance. And I'm going to do that one more time, guys. Command C, Command V, 10, click, bake, done. They're all the shapes I need. Basically, I just copied that. So what I do is press Command and Shift together, and then I click and drag across like this. And I do it until it gets to around here. Sometimes you might come across this problem if you're doing this. I'll just select both of them. Let's see if the problem arises right now. So I'll just press S on the keyboard. Let's go ahead and select our item. So you see here, it's not really working. It's not working as I want. I want to create that kind of loop like it is up here. So why is that happening? Well, it's happening because these two aren't close enough together. So let me go on wireframe mode. We can go in. If I zoomed in a lot, you see they're not touching. Those two are not touching there. So what I need to do, I'll just select this right heart here and I'll go in, and you just click and drag across whilst holding Shift, just so it's slightly overlapping there. And now let's try again. So select all of them, press S, and now I can go in and it's working as I want it to. So that's why that happened. And from there I can just press plus. And you see, I don't know what's going on here. I was expecting it to just be one shape. Bring it out like that. That's the shape I wanted, and it's all this left over. Well, that's the next bit I'm going to show you. I've got some prepared. Here's one I made earlier. So we're going to do the same again, but we're just going to click on both of these options. So both selected, press S to enter the Shape Builder tool. And we'll go up here, clean up unused curves, clean up unused areas. I will make my selection. Now I'll press plus, and you see we're only left over with that. So click on the Move tool, and I can change it to a color I want. Let's get rid of the stroke. So just show you what I'm doing over here. Get rid of the stroke, maybe give it some kind of red color like that. And that's done. One last thing I want to show you. It's the delete internal curves. Let's say I wanted these hearts to be carrying the other hearts. You see, it's just going over there, and I just want to clip it off without going in there and messing around and taking ages trying to get it just right. Instead, we'll use the Shape Builder tool. Let's select all of these, press on S, Shape Builder tool, and we can go up here to these options, and we'll just uncheck all of this, and we'll just keep delete internal curves on. And now let's make our selection. So just inside of the heart here, you see they're all selected there. Now I'll just click on the plus button. And if I zoom in, you can see it has lopped it off at this curve here. So that's how you do that. Moving on. And in this example, we're going to recreate a tub of delicious ice cream whilst using only simple shapes like ellipses, rectangles, etc. Let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to put them together. So I'll just press Command Z because I actually had them all in position ready. And like always, we select all of our shapes and we click on the Shape Builder tool. And from this point, I will just start my selections. So make my selection. For the first one, I'll press the Action button plus. From here on in, I'll probably press the return key, and I'll tell you when I do it because it's a lot quicker. So the next bit's a bit tricky. It's all of this here, and I'll press return, and I've made a mistake on purpose. If you don't quite get it the first time, don't worry, you can just go over them and then press return again whenever you're ready. So press return again. Ooh, one more. There we go. Next one, it's the ice cream. So I want this one to be one flavor. I want this to be another flavor. And I want that ice cream to kind of be behind this straw shape. So I'll select that and press return. The main shape is already ready. There's another thing I want to create at this point, and that is this outline here and this sun shape. Think of it as a sun. So what I'm going to do, whilst they're all still selected, we're going to use the shape builder tool again, S on the keyboard. So select all of it like that. Then you head on up to create a new shape from selected areas. This should save us some time. So I'll click that once and I'll just press the V, the move tool. So we can't see it there, that it's created this new shape because they're just outlines at this moment, but it has. And I'll just go in my layer stack and click on it and just drag it out to show you. There it is. I'll just give that a color for now. Let's give it something like that. And right now it's on the top of my layer stack, as you can see here, and I want it to be at the bottom. What I can do is simply just hold my finger on Command and press the left bracket key to send it to the back. If I wanted it to go all the way to the back, I just press Command and Shift and left bracket key. The next thing we're going to do is use the contour tool, which is over here. Contour tool shortcut is O. So I'll click on that. And from this point, I will just click and drag out to an acceptable spacing. Now I'll just click on Bake Appearance up here. So the next thing we're going to do is create the sun, which is behind. So I'll click on the ellipse tool. I'll just click somewhere in the middle and drag out whilst holding Shift and Command, so it's a perfect circle. Otherwise it's like this. I think that's okay. I kind of want to see what it's like behind that shape we just made, so I'll just quickly change the color slightly. I want to send that to the back too, so Command left bracket key. So the next thing I want to do is cut out the outline shape out of the sun. So what we're going to do is just select our sun, which I've made red here, and I'll also select the outline. Now I'll press on Shape Builder tool, which is S. From this point forward, I'll just make my selections. So this section here, I don't want it to be cut in half. So I'm going to select that, and I'll press plus. So now I want to cut this shape out of the sun. So what I'll do is just click on the outline and I'll delete that, and it will cut that out of the sun, which is behind. So click subtract, and that is done. From this point, I'll just start coloring. I'll start off with the sun as it's selected, and I want a gradient. So what I'll do is click on the gradient tool there. Shortcut is G. In fact, I'll just click G and you can see the shortcut down there. So I'll just click from the bottom and go up. Actually, in fact, I'll click from the top and go down because it's a little bit darker down there. And I'll just change that to some orange color in my color tab. There we go. And for the top one, I want it to be yellow. So I'll click on the yellow and make that slightly darker. All right, something like that is cool. I also want to put a gradient on these ice creams. So whilst I'm still using the gradient tool, I could just click on one of these ice creams in the background there. So that's purple. What I'm going to do is just click and drag out, and I want it to be darker down there. So just click and drag that. I don't want it to be a straight line because it is a spherical kind of object. So I'll head up to here to type, and I'll change that to elliptical. And now it's elliptical. I'll just drag it off to the side and try and copy what I've done there, maybe around here. And basically we want to make this purple and make it slightly darker purple there. And I'll make that a little bit pink light. So it's like the light's reflecting off of it. And I'll continue to do that for the rest of the ice creams. I will quickly show you, whilst we're here, that you can copy styles across. And you've probably seen this on one of my other videos. If we select, say, this ice cream here, and I go down to the style picker tool, click on that. Right now, I'll just press unload because I've used it before. So up here, if it's loaded, it means it's already got a style in there. So you want to unload so you can pick your style. Okay, so with my dropper tool, I will go ahead and click on there. And you can see it's copied that across, which is cool because it saves me time. Okay, so now I just go ahead and change the color. Okay, that is done. So let's go ahead and click on the straw, and I'll just choose a color for that. I'll probably just get the, eyedropper tool and copy that one from over there. And for this, I'm going to have that as a red color. So like a kind of cherry red. There we go. That will do. So that's all done. Let's get rid of these strokes because the stroke doesn't look that good. So I'll select all of it, head on up to our stroke and just click. You can do it from here, by the way. You just click on that and it gets rid of them. So it looks pretty good, but we still need to color in the actual corner of it there, which is kind of hidden. There it is. And I'll just kind of make that pink as well. And you can also see that it's rounded here. I kind of forgot to do that. If you wanted to do that as it's selected, just use the corner tool, which is up here. Shortcut is C. Click on that, drag over all of these nodes and just bring it in a little bit. Get your nice rounded edge there. And once you're happy with it, just press Bake Appearance, which is up here. So that's done. So the next thing I'm going to do is create the stripes and also add the shadow. So this one's relatively easy. Let's go into the straw and I'm going to grab a rectangle. I'm just going to drag out somewhere like that. I'll make it a slightly different color so you can see what is happening. Okay, so I'll just start it from about here, and what I'm going to do is use a power duplicate to save me time. Rather than pressing Command C, Command V to copy and paste, you'll see now. So Command J, drag down and press Command J as many times you want, holding down Command and just press J. I'll just select all of those stripes that I just created, and I'll also go in and select my straw. All right, on with the Shape Builder tool. So press S, select all of the bits you don't want, and just click on Subtract. Obviously that's not the best color. We could change it so it matches the one over here. So I'll just use the eyedropper tool. Maybe make that a little bit. Oh, no. I've got to select just the stripes. There we go. There, something like that. And it's pretty much the same thing for the shadow down here. I'm just going to grab the pencil tool. Shortcut is N down here. The window here, I like to have that a bit wide. Also like the stabilizer on as well. So when the stabilizer's on, so you can drag in a really smooth kind of fashion here. I'll change that color slightly, make it a bit darker. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this tool here. That will do for now. That will do. Okay, so I've got this really messy shape there. All I have to do now is press on the move tool. So I've got that selected and I'll select our tub underneath. Click on S, the Shape Builder tool, and I'm just going to select the part I don't want. So it's this whole section here I don't want. So click on Subtract. And there we go. We have our shadow underneath. And from this point, if I wanted, I could make it a little bit lighter on the left and a little bit darker on the right. So I press G for the fill tool, click and drag across like that. I think that needs to be a little bit darker, the shadow. So I could just make that slightly darker. So there we go. We have recreated the ice cream just from a few simple shapes. In this example, I want to talk about grids. They are really cool when you use them with the Shape Builder tool. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So on the left-hand side, I've got this kind of like 80s looking grid. It's only 80s because it's green against black, right? I will select all of them and click on the Shape Builder tool. So let's look at what we can do with this. So I'm just going to click on plus to begin with. So anytime I take the action of selecting, it does it automatically. So let's have a look right now without anything ticked over there. So I could just draw this shape here. You can see it's turned blue because my standard color up here, my fill, was set to blue. Let's go ahead and just press Command Z on that. If I click on Clean Up Unused Curves and Clean Up Unused Areas up here, now I'll try it again. Now it gets rid of the grid, so I'm just left with whatever I have drawn out. That's quite cool. It's almost like that old game Snake, you know. You'd have to kind of avoid catching the tail. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. I'll press Command Z so we can check out the subtract, what happens here. So when I do that, I can drag across and you see it kind of just gets rid of those there. You can also click on individual lines here just to get rid of the ones, and you can see the candidate list coming up. Maybe you can create some kind of maze in here. Or it could look like a broken fence, I guess. Let's go ahead and check out this. So it's another way of using it, but I was just thinking, it could be like a crossword. I've got this image down here so you can kind of see. So maybe you could create crosswords a little bit easier using this. Click on the desktop and I'll look at what my default colors are. So up here, you can see it was blue before, so I'll just make that black for now. Now I'll select my grid, press S, and now I'll add them together. So how does a crossword look? Okay, so it's one over here, one across there, some down there. You can kind of see how you can build it up. And I guess they have numbers on each of them, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. That'll take too long. So that's another cool way you can use it. Now I'm going to show you how to create a grid with gaps like this example down here. Very easy to do. Here is the grid from the last example. And this is just made up of individual strokes put together, and then I used the shape builder tool on it. But this time I'm going to make a change before I do that. I'm going to change it from a stroke and expand it. So I've selected everything here. What you want to do is go up to layer and then go to expand stroke down there, this one here. So click on that and it's expanded the stroke. If I go on wireframe mode, you'll see now they're just shapes overlapping each other. The quick and easy way to add all of these individual shapes up, because they are, the quickest way is to head on up to Boolean operations up here and just click on add. So now this is just one shape. I can't pull it apart anymore. Let's press the shape builder tool and
clean up unused areas.
So I'll just click on that. Let's go in and make our selections. So with this one, you just tap each individual square to whatever shape you want. I'll just click a few more. Okay, that's enough. And now if I press add, you can see that they have gaps in between them, and they are just one shape here, and you might want to color them individually. If you did want to do that, then all you'd have to do is head on up here to the Boolean operations and click divide. So now that I've clicked divide, you can see down here in the layers panel, there's lots and lots of different layers, but at least I can select them individually and change the color as I see fit. Moving on. You can use the shape builder tool to cut into shapes, almost like the knife tool. Starting with this one here, I'm going to select it. I'm going to press S. I'm going to go up and make sure that clean up unused curves is selected. And I'm going to make my selection. So I'll just tap once on here and I'll click on plus. So now if I pull these apart, you can see I've created a completely new shape for a surf brand or something like that. Heading over, let's select the next one, S. And this time I want to click on clean up unused curves and clean up unused areas. So both of them are selected. Now I'll just tap on the bottom part and I'll press plus. And that's what we're left with. So very quick to do that. And that was all with just using one line here. And that concludes the tutorial. If you're still here, you're at the end. Congratulations. I hope you found it valuable and I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you haven't already subscribed, go and do that. If you haven't checked out the rest of my channel, go do that. There's lots of Affinity content. Also tap the notification bell because then you'll know when I bring out the next tutorial. To those of you who gave me a super thanks, thank you so much. I really appreciate it and it really drives me to make more content. I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.